All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. I want to give that honors to my apostles and elders, great millstone, who teach very well, where I learned this truth from. His salutation out there to the hopeful elect will continue to push this word and our truth, faith, and sincerity. And also, shalom to all the men, women, and children who sincerely believe upon the words of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Today, man, just talking about getting out of this place. That's why it was a commandment for Ezekiel 35, because if you're not doing what Ezekiel the 35th chapter say, then you're not doing the will of the Lord. Ultimately, you're falling under the banner of being a permanent American, because a part of us want to leave out of here. We sigh and cry against this place, and we also tell this place is judgment. Even when you go back into the time of Noah, it says he was bringing in the flood upon the ungodly. Yes, Noah, he was building the ark, but he was also simultaneously telling people that they're going to be destroyed. And we're coming in that same banner, man. So let's get this in Ezekiel 35 and verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. And a part of us prophesying against this place is telling you that this place is ultimately going to get hit with nuclear missiles. And it's not for no reason. No, it's not just because, just for GP. No, it's because you transgressed against the Lord. You made his people went off, and ultimately you pushed forth the foul spirit throughout the whole planet Earth. So something must be done about it. But before something must be done about it, something must be saying. That's why the prophets are set up, man. The prophets, when you always look at the story, they was always coming with a harsh message. And 9 times out of 10, the people of the world or the people of that kingdom didn't want to listen to it. Because 9 times out of 10, we're telling you that this party is over. You have plans, whether it be a 5-10-year plan. We telling you that those things are in vain. And ultimately, your best idea is just to wait upon the Lord. Because if you put your stock in this place, you're going to get destroyed with this place. Let's continue on. It says, and saying to it, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shai, the power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. And why is the Lord going to do that? How is he going to do it? Through those ICBM missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's how this whole land, America, from the east to the west, from New York all the way to California, and everything in between is going to be desolate, because the Lord is going to send the weapons of his indignation. Continuing on, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. And a part of you knowing that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai sent these things is, guess what? The prophets will be sent out first. It tells you that in the book of Joel, the Lord will send his voice before his armies. So again, when these missiles come down upon the Western Hemisphere, it's not going to be no such thing as Allah, Jesus, Buddha. No, all credit and all praises is going to be due unto Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. There's going to be the way that he's going to make his name glorified in the earth once again. Verse 5. And this is the point why. Because, a cause and reaction. So, Lord, why are you going to leave America desolate? Why are you going to destroy the kingdom of the Edomites? Because there has had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and in the time their iniquity had an end. And we are at the time when our iniquity is at an end. This is the last rulership that we're going to be in before we enter into the kingdom of heaven. And this devil, he's finna get ready to show his horns. You got to ignore all the bullshit that's in the way. The PS5, the GTA 6, LeBron might retire. What about Bronny? This nigga send out distractions, not knowing that he's finna get ready to come down, having great wrath upon the nation of Israel, man. Northern and southern tribe. It's going to be a point when, Israel is going to realize y'all niggas to Esau eyes, man. And really all this thing is happening is because the will of the Lord must be done. Real quick, let's get another thing. Because again, the reason why the Lord's going to come down having great wrath on you niggas, because y'all trusted in the so-called white man. The same guy who gave infected blankets into the Native Americans, the Reubenites. The same guy who gave syphilis unto the blacks. The same guy who pointed us out after the Babylonian Empire. The same guy who did Masada, surrounded Jerusalem, and camped around them. We telling you that this guy's the devil. But Jake being in that blinded mindset, for the lack of better words, being under that spell of Babylon, they love this place. And ultimately, too, they love the wickedness, man. Because you could do anything and everything you want to. Back in the day, if you commit adultery, man, it was a judgment upon that, But now you could commit adultery and niggas will give you cool points. Back in the day, you eat pork, judgment will come down. And today, you eat pork, for the lack of better words, nigga, I think everything's all fine and dandy. And once your foot get cut off, now you want to cry unto the Lord, man. Now people are ignorant and stupid, and this is the reason why the Lord is bringing destruction upon them. And ultimately, this is why the Lord is just going to save a small remnant, because the rest of our people are done. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more right here. This is the book of Amos 5, and we're going to jump down to verse 10. It says, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate. And that's what we do, man. That's why you see it's a TikTok trend, Hebrew Israelites. What to do when you inquire? No, the reason why, because you hate us rebuking your father, your Uncle Esau, the creeping Uncle Esau, man. And it's like that. When you have a kid, for the lack of better words, once they go around their cousins or their uncles, they can do the things they can't do at their parents' house. And that's what Esau is doing, man. The children of Yasharallah under the house of Esau is doing any and everything that's contrary unto the Lord. But there's always going to be a big brother, big cousin. If you was at your mama's house, you wouldn't do that shit. So don't do that shit here. But ultimately, it's going to be a remnant that's going to be in that mindset. Read this again. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and abhor him that speaketh uprightly. And a part of us speaking uprightly is telling you the judgment of Babylon the Great, which is America here today. And ultimately, that upright conversation starts with destruction. That upright conversation starts with basically starting all over. Because in order for the kingdom of heaven to come upon the planet Earth, this current kingdom that we're living in must pass away. Let's get that in 2nd Ezra real quick, and we're going to jump back and get something else. Because like it says in the scriptures, I think they say on 1 Corinthians 15, how righteousness, corruption cannot inherit incorruption, and incorruption cannot inherit corruption. And this is the most corrupt place upon the planet Earth, from the government on down to the water. The water corrupt here. It's microplastics in here, man. So this place must be destroyed. Thus saith the Lord. This is 2nd Ezra 2, and 2nd Ezra 4. And I'm going to jump down to verse 27. It said, 27. It says, and cannot matter of fact, 26. Then answered he me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel, for the world hasteneth fast to pass away. This current kingdom is hastening fast to pass away, man. That's why the infrastructure is down, the money is weak, and ultimately the Muslims is on the scene. Continuing on, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in the time to come, for this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. And this is the reason why we sign and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. We want righteousness to be exalted here, man. Because the world was made for our sake, but the world is being ran in wickedness. Continuing on, it says, but as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. And the evil is sown is talking about America. 1492, he sailed the ocean blue all the way up to 1776. And even in the midst of those times, all the way up until now, Esau have grown his empire. He grown that little serpent into a seven-headed evil beast. Continuing on. It says, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and the place where evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. So in order for the kingdom of heaven to come, guess what? For the lack of better words, this current kingdom must be destroyed. And we're asking the Lord to destroy this place, because if you're not asking him to destroy this place, you're not in the right spirit. This is the book of Mark 11, and I'm gonna jump down to verse let me see, because at the end of the day, we telling this place to get out of here. This is the book of Mark 11, and I'm going to start at verse 23. It says, "For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed," and right there, we're telling this place, America, to be removed. Get out of here. The Lord is coming to destroy this place. The words that we're speaking is the most powerful things upon the planet Earth. It says, "Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shalt not doubt in his heart." So we're not down. We're not saying maybe or what if plan be. No, man. The only plan is this place be destroyed, and ultimately the kingdom of heaven will be established, after a period of time, when there's smoke clear and the dust settle. Continuing on, it says, "But shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Yes, and we ultimately plan to, be kings and, have rulership, to live in a righteous society, be it one without power. Before all these things come to pass, the destruction must come. So that's why we're praying for the destruction too. Yes, we praying to be a part of that first resurrection, to be in the kingdom of heaven, man. But what it says, those who basically survive the second death, man, those are the ones that's going to be a part of that first resurrection. And the reason why, because they were speaking against this place. They wasn't of the world. Ultimately they was hastening for this place to be destroyed. And even this is not nothing new. You go back into ages, the prophets always desired the end. You go into the time of Ezra. He was always talking when the end gonna come, because he wanted heaven to come, man. And we're coming in that same spirit. I'm gonna end it off right here. And even though we know that second Ezra, the 11 and 12th chapter is talking about the Roman Empire, you can still equate it into things that's happening today. Let's get this in second Ezra 11. And let's start at verse 37. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 37. It says, "And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion, chased out of the wood, and I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle." And it's like I think it's 12. My bad, like it. This second Ezra is 12 and 37. Yep. Kind of 36, like, but again, that eagle is the representation of the the Edomites in their empire, but ultimately their empire mascot is the eagle, like our mascot is the lion. Read this real quick. Second Ezra 12 verse 37. It says, that's like it. Yeah, that ain't it. Please bear me. 32, 31. Like it. The water y'all by shot. It says, "In the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring, and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness, sighing and crying for all the things that be done in the midst thereof. They hated them that rebuketh in the gate." We're telling you everything that's wrong with this place, man. And it's too far gone. It's not like it could be rehabilitated into righteousness. Hell no. Continuing on. It says, "Rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointed which the highest hath kept for them." So the Lord hath preserved the elect, to tell Esau ass off, man, to tell him that his end is coming. "And for their wickedness unto the end, he shall reprove them and upbraid them with their cruelty." Yes, because ultimately, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, he's gonna frustrate this devil by basically pushing us out there, telling us that we're gonna uproot his kingdom, man. And we're not gonna uproot it ourselves. No, we're gonna do it with simple things such as words, precepts, and scriptures, man. because ultimately it's going to lead into a righteous nation, man. You know, that's going to continue on. It says, for he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. And that's what we're doing now by the way of these videos, epistles, and even we're out there on the highways and byways. But again, this correction didn't just start in this lifetime. Even during the Roman Empire, that's why Masada happened, you know, all the way up until now. This is nothing new. A sign and crime for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem.